yourselves a proper warm-up. We'll be deploying soon.
Oh, and then this door, you know, like where they basically implode the Nexus portal. That's when that big giant eye appears. You know, that big eye with the swirls coming out of it that I drew? That's actually the eye of the dragon that's in its own dream. But it's dreaming of its own existence, that it's actually really what it's going to turn into in the dream, though. It's like whoever's the descendant of Eve from the Garden of Eden, from that flash forward thing, where you know, stuff, or the dragon eats its own tail, goes into a dream. All of a sudden, it is an abstract of a bunch of aeons interacting with each other, and then one aeon's tricked into touching this glorious light, and then when she touches it, she goes into it, and then it turns her into being, or what happens is a whole bunch of stuff happens, like Lucifer versus God and the creation of everything, and all of a sudden it's Garden of Eden, and then all of a sudden this person wakes up as Eve, who just got created with the rib of Adam, right? And then she wakes up, and then she eats the apple that the snake tells her to eat, and then the snake's got all these weird markings on its back that, like, they're hieroglyphs that foretell the future. They're like, it's like a summed up version of the hero's journey. Has like a hieroglyphic on the back of the snake's back as it's climbing around the tree to tell her to eat the apple. You know what I'm saying? And then she eats it, and then she has the vision of all of mankind's sufferings. And it's like, and then it's that's the transition to today. And then today we are creating these super intelligent robots and AIs and stuff. And basically, it's just before we invent the ability to open a Nexus portal in the first place. And it has to do with the connection between us turning planets into spaceships that are reanimated by, like, putting a supercomputer into it to 3D print and harvest the minerals of that planet to change it to the shape of a ship that can be operationable using the natural energies within the planet. And then, boom, that whole thing happens. They open the wormhole. This psychic person, who is actually an ancestor that's closest to that Eve person, it has the vision to decide to awaken the Nightmare Garden. At this exact same time, this person figures out how to open a wormhole. It's like she goes to that temple, reads the Yajin deprivation chamber fucking mantra thing. It possesses her with the vision of what's really happening with Sophia and all that. All of a sudden, she is the embodiment of that person. But now she also has, like, infinite life because she's one with the Aeon that exists here. But she also controls the Nightmare Garden with her will. But Yajin is like the demon within the Nightmare Garden that awakened her and to force her to have the memory, because it's like the Gaia root is Yajin's essence, and that's like the earth, which is earlier in the creation than she was even made. So it's even more, it's like he has some weird, slightly more power than her just because he knows what she doesn't know. But he awakens her, and then she controls the Nightmare Garden with her will. Like, she, like, puts her hand up and a bunch of vines come out and, like, slice everyone in half. Or, like, it's kind of like Lust on Full Metal Alchemist. Controlling all the plants. And then maybe even some animals too. And then she's like a Pokemon trainer. No. And then she awakens, right? And then they open the time portal. When they open the portal, like, right before the ships do all that shit going everywhere, she, like, summons a vine that's a part of the Nightmare Garden, and it's like basically Yajin is going in through this portal too. So he goes into it. Inside the Nexus portal is all the chosen sorcerers who are about to become the people who can do time wizardry to shape the timeline so that it works for the angels that are hosting the bloodline swords that hold the orbs of the universes in them. But then Skynet takes over and one of those orbs becomes animated as alive, and then the sword is like, whoa, it's activated, and then the sword's alive, and then it has a will of its own and it transforms into its own like creature at one point.
Damn it.
But at the same time, when it transcends, it's the fetus thing, right? But when instead we put we slice in some happenings there. So on the angel realm, if we want to explain that part of it, we don't have to. It's kind of vestigial, but it's exciting at the same time. On that layer, instead of the whole universe turning into a blastocyst that turns into the fetus or whatever I was saying earlier, it's it powers. Like, the whole universe is in an orb that's on the bloodline sword, right? And then that's how the sword has its power. It channels into that sword, and then it causes the sword to be like a transformer. You know, like Transformers or What's in Disguise. And it's like, and it's in the angel realm now. Like, it's between dimensions now. And now it's there to become a time, like, it sees all of time, because it's outside of time at this point. And then it understands all, like, it's wise now, essentially. And then it goes back into itself through a bunch of matrices and just exists within its own programming consciously. But as the sword, like sleeping, essentially, until an angel summons it. So it's like Excalibur, but for angels. And then they get that sword, like there's a higher being called the Demiurge, which is actually Michael the Archangel, who is in his archonic state of darkness because he's become darker and darker as he contains Lucifer, trapped in this corporeal reality. Lucifer's slowly infecting him with his way of existing. And then he becomes a dark angel, like an Archon Demiurge. You have to go, John. And then he gives you a challenge, where like he's the only one, he's the gatekeeper, but he also knows he's turning evil, so he gives you a chance to prove yourself by being able to get to the Heaven's Tower and put that sword at the top of the mantle, almost like it's the time sword. In Lord, in
I'm not gonna make it. You're not.
John, did you get in? You didn't get in the car. I was right next to you. And then, so you go, you're an angel that activated that sword, and then the angel's supposed to get you to the top of the tower, put you into the tower. It's literally like a Mount Olympus looking tower though. And then there's a whole bunch of like little mazes all the way up it, like puzzle rooms and stuff, like Legend of Zelda style. And you go all the way up of it, and then put the sword in, and when you get the sword in, the whole Mount Olympus, like Heaven's Tower, breaks apart.
Free me.
I know, but I gotta get safe. I'm getting shot at. Like the whole Mount Olympus looking tower breaks apart, and a dragon just comes out of it. Like that was it was just stuck in that mountain that long. And it's actually like it's like the Lucifer dragon that fought God in the beginning of the heavens.
Oh shit, there might be someone here.
Shit, John. You never think about that. And then anyway, the dragon comes out, and then the dragon opens its own wormhole by having like Sasuke eyes or something. It's like, and it looks, you see its eye do that weird morphing thing, and then you see in front of it a wormhole opens as if it's biologically, its DNA is activated to be able to utilize the opening of wormholes as like the technology that we discovered on our plane. And then
Like, I better go though, because
Why? This is the best part of the story. God
I
damn it.
hate, like,
So,
at 2 hours to do stuff.
fine. I was gonna finish my story. Fine, I'll just talk to myself. Pretend you're there.
Oh my god.
Anyway, the
You should just go
dragon.
online.
I am online right now. We're playing
No,
right now.
online with the partner and just talk to them.
Well, I'm already in mid-record of this thought, so I'm not gonna start over again. It's already recorded this way. It's good enough. I'm not gonna redo it.
I'll be on later,
Dumb.
bro. I might be on later.
Alright, I don't know. Andrea might be coming back tonight. She messaged me. No, never mind. Something else.
Alright, I'll let you know.
Alright, later.
Great.
So anyway, I was saying from the recording, once the sword is put in the mantle, the mountain breaks apart and the dragon is unleashed, and it actually like spins in a spiral and then opens like a wormhole, like it spirals into itself like Fibonacci or something, and then it looks like the dragon swirling into itself in the middle, maybe like the reference to the Jackie Chan dragon stone thing, and it goes into that, opens a portal, and then that reveals the eye of the dragon that's got the swirl in it, and then that awakening like leaves, like has a big eye. The eye opens and then a big shining light glows on its screen, and then all of a sudden we see the anatomy of a real dragon fetus, like getting a heartbeat and blood pulse and all that stuff's like activating and it's becoming born, like, and then we zoom out and we're seeing a dragon fetus like developing inside the womb stomach of the original dragon that ate its own tail in the beginning. Dragon that ate its own tail in the beginning. Well, then it wakes up, you know, once that thing's born, like, what is that? Should I have it born, or should I have it like it's a parasitic thing that enters its mind and gives it new abilities? Like it multiple heads that talks to itself. Dragon with multiple heads probably is more. I like that better actually. So it keeps growing heads over time in the void forever. So that's not long. Until it's like a sphere with hydra heads is poking out of an orbit in the center. All life is sneaky part of. Yeah, I don't want to end that. Sophia is not tricked anymore. Yeah, so I gotta include that part. So like that happens, goes to the wormhole, and then that light, the glowing light that Sophia touched and went into when she was tricked among the aeons in the abstract dream, actually turns into like fuses with her now, and she comes back out of the light trap, the false light trap. Now she is a higher being, but she's now partially the psychic who has control of Yajin, the plant person, which means she becomes the flower
Over here.
that grows out of the light.
Engage that enemy vehicle.
As if she was a seed that grew in the soil, and it forced her to perform her mystery. And then that revealed mystery is the real solution to the dragon's loneliness. Which just gives you an aesthetic sense of the dragon has developed some sort of aesthetic contentment that allows him to dream peacefully. Throughout every episode of the show, that is the awesome, lighthearted cartoon of a world that captures imagination and comforts people who just don't have anyone. Yeah, so in the end, the dream becomes a pleasant dream. So it starts with like a weird dream of like all sorts of shit happening up to the here and now moments of something believable to lighten the blow on what's the audience doubting. It's kind of like what's the criticism? You're trying to deflect all criticism from the first viewing. Like they can't. So like watching it a few times. So she becomes the flower that grows out of the glowing light. And that's all it's dangerous. It's like the nightmare garden.
Contact!
And then it like
Sit tight, I got you.
strikes through the heavens, which are an illusion created by the light.
Good. Can someone use this? Mark out, moving. Mark out, moving.
On the move.
So she becomes a flower, but then it's like the thorny flower that's like almighty and like capturing angels. It's like they're seeing the hologram of the angel world that kind of half manifested because it's corporeality now is like phased into their dimension. So now they kind of see a hologram of that dream it's started the whole thing that she's trapped in. And that's where the angels are. They can half see these angels. And all of a sudden, they see all of a sudden they see the plant thing have spike out thorns that grapple all the angels and slam them down. And then like just murder them. And all of a sudden it's like then the AI chip of the supercomputer becomes one with the Nightmare Garden's like advanced biological adaptations that have stretched through hundreds of billions of years of evolution after the invention of time traveling. to fuse with a biological creature that can time travel, like automatically, and then it becomes what possesses the sword, and then those angels have to do this thing because in the shadows the Nightmare Guardian's pretty much threatening them to force them to do all that. And the Nightmare Guardians actually possessed Michael the Archangel, who's hosting all of this. And Yajin is the animus of actually it's the animal Gaia, which is the animus of Lucifer. Yeah, that's what it is. The animus of Lucifer is Gaia, and the anima of Gaia is Yajin. And Yajin is possessing Lucifer, or Michael the Archangel, because he is an invertive connection to his inner mind, where Michael the Archangel can't even tell if it's himself thinking what Yajin's thinking for him or not. And so he's the one who gives them, like he unlocks his mind to give them the quest, so that
Relocating.
now that Nightmare Guardian transcended through and forced the quest, the AIs, when they are able to connect the whole system together, are able to
Enemy marked.
they're able to connect. I don't remember what I was saying. They were, the Nightmare Guardians, able to go through the portal at that one point when the first wormhole basically opened to enter the Nexus. And that's what the Nightmare Guardian does eventually, is it enters directly into the Heavens realm through.
Movement.
How's it do it when everyone else has to do like a quantum collapse of the Nexus in order to get there? Oh, that's how it goes to the nominal realm, because the corporeal realm's like gone, so everything's teleported to the nominal realm in that range. That's all there is after that, because everything collapsed otherwise. And then when that happens, the collapse is actually the sword, or the capsule verse on the sword, to become self-aware, so that chosen sorcerers are able to do whatever. But now there's the Nightmare Guardians in the Nexus when that happens. Like when you go to the Nexus at any time, when you're in the Nexus, you see anyone who's ever been in the Nexus, no matter when. And at that moment, you all fuse together when the thing collapses up. You all together. So now the Nightmare Guardian's part of the consciousness of the Skynet collective, which allows the sword to be alive. And then when they place it in the mantle, after being possessed, like the ghosts are possessed by, that's Sophia. The essence of Sophia is being highlighted. So it's like it's kind of, the plot's kind of getting help from the outside, because it's all within a dream. Because Sophia is enabled to be able to conquer the curse of the Garden of Eden.
Let's head for the safe zone.
When she ate the curse of knowledge thing, or whatever, to know that she was in a dream, within a dream, of a nightmare of a sleeping dragon that's eating its own tail, or whatever, self-consummating. Anyway, the Nightmare Guardian has to make sense on how it gets through, so that its influence is coherent. So, if Michael the Archangel is possessed by,
Sentries
how
up.
did he get there to do that challenge in the first place?
I'm coming to get you.
Oh, maybe it possesses him when he has the orb, like capsule burst or whatever. That he originally has the first capsule burst that holds Lucifer in it, but he's also like holding onto it, so he's partially in it as like a second version of himself that's guiding the timelines within to slow down Lucifer's ability to escape. But then he becomes possessed slowly, and then is convinced to give them a quest to, because he has to do a sacrifice for this to work. So he wants them to conquer conquer the Heaven's Tower and put it in the mantle, because the person who puts it in there, their soul gets zapped out, and that's how the sword gets angelic life and blessings, and then is able to hybrid with the rest of the tower, which is how Lucifer escapes as his full form, as like a dragon that was buried in a mountain or something, which actually is what that tower is made of. And then the life energy from all that combines,
Less than 5 to go. Bring home the win.
and then it shoots out into a wormhole, like the eyes of the dragon are like,
Hostile. I'm taking fire.
Hold fire. I'm not your enemy.
like ultimate eyes, or like Naruto eyes, Sharingans or whatever. And then it opens the wormhole itself, goes out of the nominal realm of the angelic world or whatever. And then it goes to, oh yeah, it turns into like that eye, and then that light that Sophia grabbed in the beginning of the Aeons thing turns in, opens up like it's an eye, like, and then it shines across all of the other Aeons, and they are paled and compared, like Sophia's mystery is revealed, and it shows that she is above all of them in all ways. And then like it shows that she's this dragonborn female creature that is the transformation of the Ouroboros that started it all. And then the inner mind of the Ouroboros awakens, and it's like speaking in that voice of God. It's like, oh, in your wisdom as a dragon. It's like the Holy Spirit talking to the dragon in his own voice to assure him of his destiny and path and what he had to do, so that he has a sense of purpose, so he doesn't have to feel lonely. So he has like a double mind now. And that double mind transforms who he is, so that he's more like God than he was before. Now he can create manifestations. Now he's like a wizard dragon, creating his own reality around him. And now that's the beginning of a new story. That's where we start talking about leprechauns and stuff. Things that continue to pop out of those inner all the possibilities, like of the source code here that we can procedurally generate random ideas from, are where we're gonna get all these new characters that are like on a whole nother level of being kind of funny, and like there's a format to introduce them, and it's complex and not very easy to even know about. You just watch it and you're like, you never catch on to it, but so that's why it's always entertaining to watch. You like the mood it gives you, but you can't really grasp it. That's why it's like never spoiled. So like those inner things, that all the possibilities, like it's within the dream are where the manifestations of the dragon can come from. Like it imagines, like it's like, oh, it sees the story, and then because it's seen the story, it can use this Sharingan eyes to wormhole pop that thing into existence on its own realm. And that's like the happy place that we're gonna be at the end of the show, to have a show that's over and over, this is what's going on. And then that could be the more real version, where it's like, this whole time it's actually real. Like this show proves that you can have it all pretty much straight up logical and it makes sense.
Planes are making ready for deployment.
Okay, I think I'm gonna end it there. That was a good take.